Said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say?
It's one thing to criticize a politician, but it's another to call him out on national television with no hesitation. That's exactly what Bill Maher did. Maher has spent years praising Gavin Newsom, yet even he seems tired of pretending the state is running smoothly. On a recent episode of his show, Maher laid out his frustration and took aim at Newsom's record in a way he rarely does with politicians he liked. The tone was sharp and the message was clear. He's done giving the governor a pass.
Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
At one point, Maher joked that the most notable part of Newsom's legacy is his resemblance to someone who could succeed in the adult film business. That isn't a small insult coming from someone who used to defend him. Imagine leading one of the country's largest and wealthiest states, only to be roasted for your appearance instead of your policies. When the people who once praised you start turning your image into a punchline, it usually means the frustration has reached a level that can't be smoothed over with charm. It also suggests that the problems under your watch are too obvious to ignore.
I don't want to say he really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
California has made homelessness so comfortable that people naturally gravitate there. The intention may have been compassion, but the effect has been disorder. Instead of enforcing boundaries or offering structured solutions, the state has allowed the crisis to grow without real control. Entire sidewalks have turned into sprawling tent camps, and many neighborhoods feel like temporary shelters. This didn't happen by accident. The governor's policies have created an environment where accountability is weak, services are stretched thin, and people who need help are left to live in unsafe conditions. The same applies to crime, where repeat offenders often walk away with little more than a warning. Homelessness rises, crime rises, and quality of life declines. That's the pattern critics point to, and it's the one Maher highlighted.
The knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
Maher also addressed one of Newsom's most consistent traits. He's smooth, he's confident, and he knows how to speak in long, polished sentences that sound meaningful but rarely commit to anything. It's a style that works well in interviews, but it doesn't help people who are struggling with the real issues playing out across the state. The speeches are grand and the phrasing is sharp, but there's little follow-through. Californians hear big promises, yet the conditions on the ground remain the same. According to Maher and many others, Newsom has mastered the performance of leadership, not the practice of it.
KBLA yesterday with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want for running president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can.
This is why many believe Newsom's presidential ambitions are unrealistic. California's problems are too visible to hide. For years, companies have relocated to states with friendlier taxes and fewer regulations. These moves take jobs, investments, and families with them. The middle class feels squeezed by high housing prices and the general cost of living. Even people who agree with Newsom politically admit that some of his decisions have pushed California further into the same issues it already struggles with. When members of your own party begin to call you too extreme, it's difficult to imagine building national support.
The swing states, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language, you're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Another point Maher made is that California has become a testing ground for cultural policies that feel disconnected from daily life. Many voters across the country are tired of politics being inserted into every small decision. Maher brought up the law requiring large toy stores to create gender-neutral sections. Supporters may see it as progressive, but critics view it as unnecessary. To many people, it feels like a distraction from issues that matter far more, such as the rising cost of living and the lack of affordable housing. These types of policies may appeal to certain groups, but they often irritate the average voter who wants common sense improvements, not symbolic gestures.
Government, too much government there.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making us. They're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind.
Newsom often acts as if acknowledging a problem is equal to solving it. But awareness doesn't fix collapsing infrastructure or out-of-control homelessness. Californians are surrounded by the consequences every day. Everyone sees the rising costs, the crime in major cities, the businesses leaving, and the frustration from residents who feel unheard. Simply talking about the issues won't rebuild trust. People care about action, not explanations. Maher pointed out that listing problems doesn't make you a leader. What matters is addressing them in a way that brings actual change.
Good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome. That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
Water use is another example Maher discussed. Nearly 80% of the water California produces goes to agriculture, and a large portion of that is used to grow almonds. Meanwhile, the state struggles through constant droughts, dangerous fire seasons, and repeated calls for residents to conserve every drop. People are told to shorten showers and remove lawns, but large farming operations continue to receive vast amounts of water because they generate revenue. This imbalance makes it hard for residents to take conservation rules seriously. It feels like regular people are asked to sacrifice while major industries continue with little restriction.
So, a boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on big almonds.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No.
But
you're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
Newsom's communication style is always polished. Every press appearance sounds refined and confident. He presents himself as someone with strong vision and big ideas for the future. But when you look past the language, the results tell a different story. Homelessness continues to climb. Crime remains a constant concern. Families move away because they can't afford to stay. Businesses relocate because taxes and regulations make it harder to operate. The speeches remain impressive, but the progress is limited. It starts to feel like a presentation instead of leadership. Californians need more than well-crafted lines.
This. What? See, I'm telling you, you're good at this job. Okay. But here's, I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. It's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception.
Newsom has built an image around being modern, forward-thinking, and socially conscious. But the state's condition contradicts that image. Homelessness, crime, financial strain, and drug addiction have become defining parts of the California experience. A place that once symbolized opportunity now struggles to keep residents from leaving. Instead of addressing these core issues, Newsom often focuses on political talking points that sound good in interviews but don't change anything for the people dealing with these problems. His critics argue that it's the same strategy President Obama used, where confidence and charisma overshadowed practical solutions. California's decline is a warning. A leader who relies on style to mask failure can't solve national problems. If this approach expanded to the entire country, the consequences would be even greater. America needs leaders who solve problems, not leaders who rely on polished speeches to cover them.